A very, very good afternoon, everybody. And this time we have a very interesting conversation coming up for all of you. Now, there are two things which have always been in mind. The first thing has been that as individuals, can we make a difference to the country? Now, that is something which has always been in their mind. That all of us do work. We join some services or join some company and earn a livelihood and go through the grind, and then one day it gets over. We retire. No, but in the process, we have the urge to make a difference to society, to make a difference to our country, to make a difference at the scale at which we, feel very happy once we hang our boots and look behind and see how it has been. Now, that was one thing which is there. The second thing which has been always been there is when we talk of India. Now, India is not about just some big cities, and when we talk of digitalization, we talk of the impact that it can have. It is about a massive rural presence, the massive opportunity in that presence, and the amount of work which has happened. At times it will be just very mind-boggling for all of us. In fact, on a very simple note, if I may say, I had an application, an app, which we called Caringly Yours as a company, and that could be downloaded by anybody. But mostly it was the urban population downloading that app, and then we had an app called Farm Mitra, which could be downloaded by farmers across the country. I was so surprised to see the amount of downloads which happened for Farm Mitra and the usage compared to the download which happened for the app, which was predominantly for urban usage. Now, those are things that really surprises us. What surprises us, if I look at the two great people that I have with me today in the conversation, let me not take the thunder away. We'll ask questions to them. First and foremost, I have Dr. Dinesh Kumar Tyagi with me. He's the managing director of CSC E-Governance Services Limited, a special purpose vehicle created in the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. He's a retired IAS officer of 1981 batch. You can imagine his seniority and his experience. No, he in his tenure had been the Secretary of Education, Principal Secretary of Finance. He also worked as director in the banking division. No, he was custodian of Special Code 1992 Harshad Mehta scam, Ministry of Finance. He was on the board of Syndicate Bank, United Bank of India, Indian Bank. He has got such a wide experience. But the beauty is why I called him today and requested him today to be on our talk show was simply because the CSC that we look at, and I'll give more details about it. In the year 2006, he submitted the project report for that. 2007, it got rolled out. 2012, he becomes the CEO of that. And if I look at what exactly we're talking about CSC is, as on March 2021, 3.74 lakh common service centers, CSC, are operational in the country, out of which 2.78 lakhs are at Gram Panchayat level. No? More than 3.5 crore digital transactions happened on the CSC platform in the month of March 21. For the entire year, 30.72 crore digital transaction is happening at CSC, and as I said, 2.78 lakh CSC are at Gram Panchayat level. And the total of volume transaction is 58,872 crore, which has happened on CSC platform. So we can imagine the scale that we're talking about, and any services you think about, it's on the CSC platform. Now, if I look at the other person who I admire a lot, Dr. Ashish Bhutani, a lot of respect for him. You know why? Not because he's a 92 batch IAS officer, he's an MBBS doctor. It is simply because if I look at the problem of farmers in India and the scale at it was, the drought or the damage to crops, here's this one person who from the very beginning has been a part of this farm insurance which has been there. Currently, the Additional Secretary to the Government of India and the CEO Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. He's also served as Joint Secretary Agriculture and Cooperation. He's the key person in formulation of the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. And let's look at the scheme to give you an idea of what we're talking about. This completed 5 years in January 2021 with 5.5 crore farmers getting insured every year. 5.5 crores farmers getting insured every year. It is recognized the largest crop insurance program in the world. And Dr. Bhutani does not have an insurance background. He is a doctor into the bureaucracy as an IAS, and he set this up. Approximately 1 lakh crore has been paid as claims to 8 crore eligible farmers in the last 5 years. And the claim amount has been paid directly to the farmer's account through DBT or Aadhaar-based transfer and straight through. So if you look at earlier, if you have stories, when I was growing up, I used to hear that if 100 rupees is given as relief, about 10 rupee reaches the end user. And here you see the entire amount gets transacted straight to the farmer's account. And the claim ratio for this is close to 90%, which means for every 100 rupees, 90 rupees reaching back to the farmers which is there in terms of the ones who have claim and the ones is moving up now. The non-money farmers coverage increased to 5.7% to 37.2%. No, if you look at the penetration, it has moved up, and if you look at the scale at which it's got operated in 5 years' time, and the benefit it has done has been phenomenal. So we have these two gentlemen for our conversation today, and I'll start with Dr. Tyagi. Dr. Tyagi, you have done so many roles, no? And CSC to you, which is your pet project, is really moving up the way it has been. What were the opportunities, the impact that you feel it got created? And did you think about it when you started, putting this project and thinking about how will it go, what difference will it make, or the challenges you faced for the distillation? Did you face any challenges, or the smooth through process it has happened? It's an interesting thing to hear at this massive scale, the kind of infrastructure that's got created and the way it's making a difference to people.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Tapanji, for inviting me to share some of our views on digitalization and its role in rural India. The topic, of course, was myths. So I don't know what myths are it for rural India for digitalization. I think the rural India is very unique. It is unique in the sense that it has almost similar capabilities of what an urban person has. It's the question of the access and opportunity which are provided to them. Even for that matter, biologically, there are studies shows that a person in rural India is as intelligent as a person in urban area, even in all the average size of the brain which determine the level of intelligence. Dr. Bhutani will bear with me that part of the work, but there are studies which show that. That means the level of intelligence in a rural customer is as good as the level of intelligence in an urban customer or urban person. Both are almost same. How does the urban guy gets more in terms of how it is so obviously placed? Because of the advantage which is given to him, because of the available of infrastructure, the environment in which he works, or students who work in that environment are different compared to students work in rural India. And that continues. So it is this notion that the rural customer or the rural person does not have either the inclination or the ability to try and imbibe the technology is very wrong. It's not actually correct, because our experience shows the reverse. Our experience shows the appetite for consuming IT and IT related assets is more in rural India as compared to urban area. In fact, I've been saying, and our experience shows that it is easy to influence the rural customers as compared to influencing the urban customer. The urban customer has many options. The rural customer, because of limited access and limited options, is easy to try and take a program in rural India and try and help them in assimilating in that culture. And we have done this in many parts. Whatever programs of the government of India we implement through CSC, our experience shows its ability to try and percolate down in rural India is far easier as compared to the urban. The urban guy will understand, realize. The rural person goes along whatever is told to them. Our CSC journey has been unique in the sense our CSC is conceptually built on enterprise. And I've been saying this, Indians inherently are entrepreneurs. Inherently. If you see everywhere you go, roadside hawkers or roadside or in the villages, somebody selling small shops or something, their enterprise is inbuilt into Indians. They're capable. Somebody selling some small items on railway station become built an enterprise. So they are inherently enterprising. If we can add IT into that enterprise, we can do phenomenal and also motivate, promote, and help and support. That is what is required. So what a CSC does it is use ICT and also help and promote the inherent trait of entrepreneurship within the communities and try and create a social enterprise. So the objective is such that you're creating a social enterprise, you're creating a technology platform, and of course creating value for them. And fortunately, in 2014, the government brought out the Digital India program, whose essence is digital inclusion. And digital inclusion and digital empowerment. Digital inclusion and digital empowerment becomes the focal point, then the CSC plays a significant role because it's a social enterprise. So all government institutions today want to utilize the CSC network to try and help communities learn that part of the work. So all the obvious, see, out of the 600 million people who are internet users, about 40% are rural India, which is very good, which is as good as any part of the world. In any case, you don't expect the same. In fact, we have been saying you provide two things to rural India: a good quality assured power at affordable rate and a good quality internet at affordable price, the rural India will be looking different. The idea of Gram Swaraj or Atmanirbhar Bharat will emerge only in that format. And today the focus is in that direction. The Government of India initiative of BharatNet or Common Service Center are actually doing the similar kind of a role of creating digitally inclusive society by enabling and or handholding these entrepreneurs. So the work of what CSC, the number of transactions which you said and mentioned that part of the work, in fact, you'll be surprised, and all your participants will also be surprised to know that despite COVID, has of course thrown challenges, but COVID has also thrown large opportunities for people. And one of the opportunity actually for COVID is the CSC has the number of transactions in CSC is almost doubled as compared to pre-COVID times, because the use of technology then becomes inevitable for rural India. For rural customers to come and use technology becomes so inevitable that he comes to the center and use it, whether it's for withdrawal of money, which is of course is essential because 800 million people were actually transfer money directly into their accounts. So when you're transferring directly money into such a large number of people, where do they go? There are only about 40,000 rural branches of banks or commercial banks, and there are 600,000 villages. It would have not been possible. Today, we provide that opportunity that every village person can go to the common service center and do a financial transaction, withdrawal, balance inquiry, money transfer, and deposit. And he can do that part of the work sitting in his place. And if they are old and infirm, our common service center goes to their house and do the part of it. It would have been unimaginable. It would have never been thought of. And there is a business built around the same framework. Then he's doing social work, but there's a business. Many of these entrepreneurs earned about 20,000 rupees every month in doing only these transactions. And these transactions monthly, most of the income with the social enterprise that CSC derives is hardly through financial transactions, because there's income and they're repetitive in nature in that sense. So today they do phenomenal work, and we do find our journey has been very smooth. I don't think there are hurdles, because any project will have some ifs and buts of that nature. But initial part of the story was difficult. Initially, the government conceived it to be only for delivering government to citizen services, and they were not available. That was the main focus. In fact, now we say our focus is to build B2C and government to use the network for delivering government service. So wherever the government want to use, if the government can have the Umang app, you can download an app and do a government service. You don't have to go to CSC. But I think assisted format, rural enterprise are phenomenal. And out of these number, which you said 3.7 lakhs, the number, about 60,000 are women. And they're amazing women. They are phenomenal in terms of their capability. Their credibility in the community is very high, because they are far more social. They listen to everybody. They are available, and they don't do the what a mischief a male can do. So there are these number of women who have done phenomenal work in the system and built a credibility to the CSC also. So women empowerment, digital inclusion, community enablement, all has been done in that service center. One of the program which I should mention and not do that. See, there are two things. One is said. One is that the rural person does not have the ability to use. That's what saying. He doesn't have the ability. So, Government of India said we programmed Prime Minister Gramin Digital Saksharta Abhiyan. 600 million people, the largest in the world, are being trained in basic digital literacy. How to use a computer, how to use a mobile, how to safeguard your interest in doing it, how to do transaction in digital format. This is out of this 300 million already done. So you already done that part of them. And it's also to our astonishment that 50% of 300 million are actually women. And this is rural. The entire program is rural. It has nothing to do with urban. So out of almost all, one person in every family will get trained digitally so that he's unable to do digital transaction. Either can do in his own or he can do that. The second was access to technology. In saying it, some of them say that I don't have a computer, I don't have a mobile phone. The mobile phone, of course, Android phone, little number is less compared to in rural India. This also is supported by the CSC. The CSC help them. So those who do not have can use a common service center and use that part of the. And third, of course, is the availability of internet. The BharatNet, which we now manage through CSC, about 118,000 of the panchayats are managed by CSC, and these BharatNets provide good quality internet access. And they will happen with the new announcement of the Honorable Prime Minister that every 600,000 villages will have fiber optical fiber network. This will transform good, as I say, two things: good quality internet and good quality power will transform rural India in every aspect. And people may not actually that time like to go to urban area; they may like to go to rural India and do the work. Work from home is our motto, so we also starting work from home in that sense. So for us, it's a
No,
fascinating journey, and I think we have exploited the inherent capability of rural persons and make them empower them using technology to build a social enterprise.
thank you, Dr. Tyagi. What an amazing journey and what insights. Malab, it's mind blowing. I'm very sure that everybody listening to it, none of you would have comprehended what was just mentioned here, no? And Dr. Tyagi, to your point of internet and power, no, and the way now solar power is getting built across the world and the speed at which it's going, I think the day is not far when what you say is going to actually happen, no? The fiber optics, internet, and the power at every home, and that too very, at a very available cost to everybody. And in my mind, what I'm thinking as I hear you is that I've always told this. No, the reason why India is not the superpower of the world is simply because even today we are not entrepreneurs at a very massive scale. We still love to be doing so. In fact, I'm telling people that we feel very proud to say that we have CEOs across the world of global organizations. But what is the pride in that? The pride should be that do we have global organizations in India, no, of that scale? Then we have arrived. No, that is the point which is there. So now when I listen to you and the way you're talking about opening up the entire potential of rural India, and at one like 300 million, 30 million, all the numbers you're giving about, there would be inflection point when we see such huge level of entrepreneurship with amount of no the accessibility. I think India would actually, that is the leapfrog moment for India. It's going to go to the next level. I hope that people understand this opportunity and look at it from that perspective, and people like Dr. Tyagi are the ones who build the infrastructure for that explosion. And the day India becomes superpower, I think Dr. Tyagi, your role in the CSC would be remembered for that. From you, I move on to Dr. Bhutani. I think when earlier I was read about farmers, the plight of farmers, and the kind of issue which was happening with crop getting devastated, some relief going, not going. I'm personally a big fan of this, what has been created in terms of the Pradhan Mantri, Fasal Bima Yojana, Dr. Bhutani. You're aware about it also. And the man who did it is you. I've seen all the challenges, the upheavals, the misgivings. Even sometimes read the newspaper, hilarious report of people saying that no, so much crore was paid as premium and only this much has been paid as claims. Hilarious, because we know the reality is far from that. Amount of claims which has been paid, where no, I think claim ratio of sort of 200, 300%, and people have delivered. And the way corruption has been removed, the way on the ground things are happening, the way satellite imagery we use, the technology we use, the portal we created, I think it's humongous the amount of work that has been done, Dr. Bhutani, and you as an individual have done that and created the biggest crop insurance of the world. But something which I do not know how many people would realize that and notice that. We want to hear your story, Dr. Bhutani, from your own words. A doctor, an MBBS, into bureaucracy, into creating the biggest crop insurance of the world, into making sure that crores of farmers get benefited, and you take away the issue of the vagrants of the weather. And luckily for us, we had some good monsoons for the past couple of years.
Yeah.
We have not noticed that, but there are times when it was really bad, and the amount of insurance claims got paid, and the way the country got supported, and you never know how it goes. This is something which is very much relevant now. So, over to you, Dr. Budai. Let's hear your story. I think it's
Thank you, Mr. Singhel, Tyagi sir, and all the viewers. It's a pleasure being a part of this, I would say, discussion. As we are aware, Fasal Bima or crop insurance in India is as old as about 40-45 years. We started the journey in 1985, and we have experimented with very, I would say, multiple programs. When this government came to power in 2014, they said there are a lot of, I would say, inconsistencies in the scheme, present scheme. The need to have a full-fledged review. In fact, government worked on this review for 1 year. A number of committees were made. They had an in-depth, I would say, analysis of what was happening on the ground. What are the challenges? What are the complaints farmers were making? What was the product being offered to the farmers? I would say a lot of consultation happened. If some of you are aware, we did some consultation at the highest level in Mumbai, in Delhi, and after, I would say, detailed consultation, insurance companies, all stakeholders were fully in the loop when government, I would say, came out with this program in January 2016. And this program, in addition to what it offers to the farmers in form of lowest premium, which he has to pay, the substantial increase in sum insured, The biggest, I would say, intervention or the difference it has made is leveraging technology. And since the crop insurance can only happen in rural India, so all the technological interventions and its usage and benefits have gone to rural India. If you see the National Crop Insurance Portal, its development and its integration with different stakeholders, today we are seamlessly connected. Otherwise, we are earlier implementing a disjointed scheme. We had the farmers at the core, the state governments, the central government, the banks, and the insurance companies not talking to each other. It was as if, see, to implement a scheme of this size and complexity, you have to have, just imagine, a number of, I would say, athletes standing on the edge of a circle, running together towards the center. All have to arrive at the same time to deliver, I would say, a good product to the farmer standing at the center. Because we are all having our own, I would say, worldviews, no communication with each other. We are arriving at different times, oblivious of others actually. So this is what we have done. We have made a portal which has made the primary difference in the implementation of the program. We have granular data for all the farmers being entered. Nearly 1,70,000 locations of different banks and packs enter data when the season is on. So it's a huge into one central portal. So that is, I would say, a huge difference. As you said, money going directly into the account of the farmer, the claim into his account. That was again one big difference. The money when used to go to the bank branch, and then they used to divide the money between the farmers. That taking its own time. And I would say the biggest difference, in addition to that, has been our association with the Common Service Center. If you see the coverage of the non-loany farmers, the loany farmers were automatically coming into the scheme, but the non-loany farmers, bringing them was a big challenge. Once we tied up with the Common Service Center, integrated our system with theirs, we have seen a substantial, I would say, jump in the non-loany farmers. Presently, the scheme is now become voluntary, so the difference is only, I would say, academic. But prior to that, nearly 40%, 35 to 40% farmers were non-loany farmers in the scheme when we before we erased this difference from the 5% numbers we started with when this new scheme was launched. So I would say 40% farmers at that point in time were voluntarily associating with the scheme, others being mandatorily being covered, but now it is voluntary for all the farmers. So that is one big difference the way it has happened. The farmer can see his the information about where his petition is, application is, and in most of the cases, he doesn't have to appeal or to make a, I would say, a request for payment of claims. It comes automatically into his account. Only for certain isolated, I would say, cases where there's a localized calamity and there's a need for the farmer to have an assessment done and he has to report his losses. And you see the number of farmers who are now buying insurance online. Substantial increase online purchase of insurance is unimaginable in rural India earlier. So, as Dr. Tyagi said, the rural landscape digitally is changing substantially. And the other part is, although credit comes to Dr. Tyagi or me for doing something which is amazing, but what the world feels. See, I would say government has reposed faith in both of us, right, and kept us in this position for a substantial long time to deliver also, right. I would say it's full marks to government to create that enabling environment for all of us to work with and to support us in putting the system in place. Okay. Although individuals get highlighted, but it's the whole system, the team which has worked to deliver this program. And with a claim ratio of 90%, I would say this is one of the best schemes in the world. If you see the claim ratios across the world, it's ranging from 65 to 75%. Okay. So good claim ratios where farmers have had losses, claims have been paid, and the scheme, it's a catastrophic insurance. We all have to understand that. For the benefit of viewers who must be reading in the media regarding companies making money, any simple, I would say, subtraction between the premium collected and the claim paid is not the way we should look at the scheme. If you look at that way, then life insurance should be the biggest, I would say, finger should be pointing at life insurance the most, isn't it? So that way, there's a huge cost which companies pay for reinsurance support. That is something which is hidden, which is usually not obvious to people. 10 to 12 to 15% cost of the companies go into buying reinsurance, since this is a catastrophic insurance. You don't have motor cars in a block, 10,000 cars damaged. It doesn't happen like that. Okay. Here, district is wiped out. Zero, I would say, yield in many districts. So that type of a situation, you have to buy reinsurance support. With a sum insured of nearly 2.5 lakh crore, certainly slightly short of that, you just can't pay that money from your resources. Companies can't do that. So this scheme is far more complex. And then you have a farmer who has a plot of land which, and he keeps on changing his crop from year to year and season to season, capturing that, insuring him for that crop, and then doing a follow up with him and ensuring that he gets money, conducting those crop cutting experiments. I would say full marks to state governments to conduct nightmarish nearly 7 to 8 million crop cutting experiments. That's also a huge task, and that forms the basis of payment of claims. So that is also a big thing which states have been doing. And as Mr. Singhal was pointing out, we are in the process of now migrating from a CC based claim estimation to using technology. We have done our experiments, and as you are aware, you can't move from a system, existing system, to another unless you are doubly sure that system would work. Presently, if the cooperating experiment reliability is 65 to 70%, you can't move to a system which is at least should be at least 85 to 90%, I would say, reliable or giving accuracy before you migrate to a new system. We are on the job, and I'm sure once we crack that part of the, I would say, scheme, things will become far, far better than what they are today. And as Mr. Singhal rightly said, it's a challenge which we have surmounted together. All the stakeholders, full credit to all the stakeholders, be it the state governments, the insurance companies, banks, all have contributed in a big way on a seamless platform that is our portal, that is number one. And our, I would say, interaction every week, twice a week, in fact, we interact with the companies, and once a week with the other stakeholders, which has helped us in stabilizing the scheme. And I would say all have come out, I would say, very wholeheartedly, a lot of initiative from all the stakeholders. And together we have been able to surmount all the, I would say, rough edges in the scheme. And again, I would like to compliment Dr. Tyagi for the support CSC has provided us in bringing a lot of farmers in the fold of crop insurance. I would say, all in all, very, very satisfying experience, and a lot of things more to do. In fact, if you see, we started with the scheme in 2016, but we have amended the scheme twice in 2018 and 2020. Substantial amendments as we learn as we go, and we keep on changing the scheme. I keep on telling all my friends in various insurance companies and banks, and as well as state governments, that this is not a scheme which is etched in stone. We are ready to learn from our experience and move forward. In fact, after the 2020 amendments, we are still looking into some more amendments to address the problems that have emerged after 2020 amendment. So I would say we are learning, and we are ready to listen to all the stakeholders, get the best practices also onboarded, as well as get the benefit of the experience of all of you to make the scheme more reliable, more seamless, more smooth, and with better output in form of claim, timely payment of claim to the farmers. That is our ideology with which we work in the ministry. Thank you.
Amazing, Dr. Bhutani. So interesting to hear. If we heard him carefully, did we hear that he said farmers are buying crop insurance online? I can tell you as an insurer, farmers are lodging claims through our app online. No? Did we think transactions for buying premiums, settling claims is going to happen in an automated way in a rural place? And you heard Dr. Tyagi's role in building that backbone of infrastructure, and Dr. Bhutani's role and you heard and you hear the humbleness of both these gentlemen. The achievement is phenomenal. If a country becomes superpower, I would actually say it is these two gentlemen would have set those kind of foundations, no? And the longevity in the role. I think that again, what Mr. Bhutani mentioned is very, very critical. You can't be in a role for a year or two and try to make a difference, no? 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, completely dedicated, passionate to it, and their humbleness to learn. No, when I was listening to Bhutani, he kept on saying, we are ready to take all feedback. We already tweaked it twice. Any feedback required, we are open to getting it corrected and getting it to be made to the best of class available. And their belief in the system. When you heard Dr. Tyagi speak, he said power and internet, once it reaches rural area to an optimum level, you will see an explosion of entrepreneurship. I think such powerful thoughts, such humbly communication, or conveyed to all of us. But do we see an opportunity here of taking India to the next level as professionals? Do we really think about this business in a different way? Do we see an opportunity what these two gentlemen have created for us in looking at expanding our business, or looking at changing the lifestyle, or looking at changing the society, or the country to a next level from our perspective? That is something that's come through. But now I'll talk some personal questions, because obviously we heard about their contribution to the businesses. But Dr. Tyagi, at a personal level now, I'm not talking of CSC now. When you do such things, when you're thinking about this, when you're pushing yourself for this, what's in your mind? Or there'll be something in your mind that I want to achieve this, I want to do this, this is for the country, or what is that drives you, Dr. Tyagi? while doing this. You've done so many roles and such varied roles and such interesting roles. No, and each of it you have no always surpassed the expectations which are always there from you as a individual, as a professional. But what is it that drives you? What is that in your mind when you do such kind of activities? So at a very personal level, I'd like to hear from you.
I was once addressing the students in Delhi University, about 400 of them, and I asked them, "Have you gone to a government office?" About 80% raised their hands. Then I asked them, "Will you like to go second time to a government office?" All of them shouted in the hall saying, "No, sir." That is the aspiration. I came from a village, so I understand the pain of a person even going to the bank. See, when we were worked in the field, see, even to deposit government money, you stand in a queue. What a pathetic situation for tax, and you have to have four challans, and challans to first certified by government, then go to the bank, stand in the queue, and the babu says, "Chai peene gaya hai, lunch ho gaya." Then you come from a village, so you don't deposit the money and go back. What a pathetic situation. See, this pain of individuals which has been dealing with some form of getting services is what has driven in any case. So we wanted to find out how do we address this? How do we make life simple for people? How do what we undergone? And I have gone to many government offices myself. I actually go and see them. What a painful thing it is that second time you will, I'm sure you will not like to go second time. With all respect to government, fantastic officers, very good, outstanding, committed, but the way the general public is dealt with, that is pathetic. So we wanted to create systems saying that you can get every service delivered to your close to your place of residence without going to government office. That's how the CAC originated. And then of course this relates to not only government, this relates to banking, relates to insurance. See, I don't know whether you, of course you are dealing insurance company, there are large number of people whose claims in insurance have actually not been done. They subscribe to the money, they disappear. Nobody knows. Even the insurance company doesn't know how to pay to them. They want to pay them. So this interface of using technology to simplify life, the opportunities are phenomenal. As I said, during the COVID, I just want to share that example. During the COVID time, we did realize that urban areas people place online orders, but what about a rural person? How does he place online order? Because these large e-commerce players does not supply to rural. So we designed something called CSC Grameen Store. We launch a rural hyper local rural e-commerce platform, which is which a CSC sets up a shop online, and today almost all the companies of the country, all big ones, are associated with CSC Grameen. So what can happen? CSC Grameen Store, you can actually buy a soap and you can buy a car in a village without even visiting that location. So today the people are buying actually Tata's car, Renault car are being sold through CSC Grameen Store in a village without he being harassed. So even see the rural customer want to feel like a rural. Nobody like. I know about the branch manager does not like a dhoti wala. That's very clear. But can we design something that dhoti wala is also respected? The CSC gives the respect to those people and do it. Unko bithata hai, then he gives a cup of tea to them. He speaks to the language. They are available in the evening. They are available on Sunday. They are available on Saturday. I spoke to this girl in Andhra Pradesh. She said, "Sir, I am open all the days except for 2 hours on Sunday. I am closed." And she was just below the bank branch. She was doing a BC activity. That is the phenomenal value prediction, and that's what driven. See, the driving force was how to make simplify life for people. There are many more interventions required. We are still working with government. It's not easy to get simplify all the things in life for people, but there are phenomenal areas where life can still be made simple. There are there are few things which I keep on harping saying that why do you need a license? See, the Cosmetics Act was built in the by the Britishers, is still implemented in India. You need a license. Why do you need a license for a pollution control unit? See, I spent the money, the total cost is 2.5 lakh, but they still want a license. And getting a license is very difficult. Why do you need a license when I am investing the capital? We are still able to not able to break these. We are fighting. See, our fight is to make life simple, make government understand, saying is some, and we will create an alternative. See, we will. Why do you need in electronic world? I can get supply medicine even with prescription online. I don't need a physical inspection or license because they're all this license mentality, this control, regulation, the physical mode to be converted into electronic mode. I can do a better job. I can do the inventory in the morning, inventory the evening without prescription. Today you can online monitor that part. That we are not able to break because the lobbies are. See, sometimes what happens is we create a system and within the system we create some of these institutions, and then we protect institution and forget about the outcome. So we protect them. See, one simple examples of registration of deed, which I keep on giving example. Registration of deed, if you see the registration act actually involves between seller and a buyer. There are two people who agree to sell and nobody else is accountable. They are accountable. That means seller detail, buyer detail, land detail, and the consideration amount. These things, there should be only one page. Registration deeds are 10 pages. I have spoken to so many people. Why is this 10 page? And all the places they will ask you thumb impression, this impression. What is the meaning of it? Nobody knows. Nobody knows why do you want to get it done. Why can't we get single page? Single page registration deed we will save in terms of, but they say deed writer will only get money per page, he will not get money. Arey yaar, did we create registration for deed writers or did we create? This is what the driving force is simplifying life for people. That is all. And the common service centers are the instrument to simplify life. All those people who want to work, as I say, Grameen store is unique because within this whole short period of time, we have done about 26 lakhs transaction, 2.6 million, 2.6 million transaction for about 300 crores rupees has been done. This is all rural India. People are making samosas and jalebis. People are buying mangoes from orchard and selling it in the same platform. People are also buying all the other part of the work, electronic goods and all the system. That's being done. Nagaland, Himachal, the Kashmir saffron being sold in Himachal and Nagaland. The fellow would have never imagined. The pencil for Kashmir now goes to all the places because we get 4 lakh outlets. There are phenomenal potential to try and use that, and this can be exploited further. The second scheme of Government of India is a digital village scheme, and we are making 1 lakh 100,000 of these villages a digital village, which is very comprehensive, where everything will be digital, everybody will be enabled digitally, and that will be very transformative, which is also along with the BharatNet. So BharatNet becomes the basis on which all the other systems evolve, whether it's telemedicine, teleconsultation. For see, we do telemedicine for animals, we do telemedicine for human being, we do tele-agriculture and tele-law. So everything is tele. So you don't have to go and strike to a lawyer to try and consult. You can actually sit in a village and do the consultation. That is the life simplification. It is not easy journey. It has been struggle, but I think our commitment to try and convince people saying this is also the way you can do the transition. This is also you can regulate. If you want to regulate, you don't have to regulate in the traditional way. And fortunately, government has been very supportive. And as we're just growing, we are still working on many things which still need to be done. So if there are people who want to really look at India, the potential is phenomenal. Anything you explore, whether you take for water, you take irrigation, crop, residues, treatments, all the kind of thing in villages is phenomenal potential. Village can be a great enabler in order to drive. And we have, see, advantage is the scale is there. I have 4 lakh centers covering almost all villages. So now we're going to have 6 lakhs villages covered out of 2 lakh 50,000. So we'll have one village away. So geographical equity, all the places, and you get a very largest network in the world, and you can use and try and. So the problem of the scale which you send actually get nullified by the use of common service center network, and then you can sell many of these products. Selling we are selling some of these small products from we actually send lychee of Bihar to Dubai and pineapple from Tripura to London. So even that is possible. But that is all possible because of use of electronic and ICT enabled framework. It is not possible otherwise. It is not possible.
Amazing, Dr. Tyagi. Did we hear the passion in Dr. Tyagi's talk from the heart? We heard his problem statement and the way, what he experienced from the village when he came to what he wants to change for the country. Do we as professionals have that passion? Do we have that belief? Do we have that kind of force and the getting it together all? No. Let's think about it. No, are we going to lead a life in which just born and will die one day and we'll just make some livelihood, or do we have this passion to make a difference in the society that we live in, or the country we we're born in, or the way we can do a difference? Dr. Tyagi, I was reminded of a joke when you spoke of the deed thing. It's an old joke, but I thought I would repeat it here. There were these two soldiers guarding a bench, in the cantonment area, and they were 24/7 guarding that bench. So this new officer comes in. He asks them, "What are you doing here?" They said, "We're guarding the bench." Well, what is there? "We do not know, sir. Instruction was given to us." So the officer asked the person who gave instruction, "What happened? Why are they guarding the bench?" Well, no, sir. This was the norm which was there earlier. Well, who gave the instruction earlier? So they kept on tracing it back. After 6, 7 rounds of officers, they reached a retired officer. So this officer called a retired officer and said, "Sir, you had given instruction for guarding the bench. No, what was it?" Then that officer asked, "Sir, is the paint still wet?" So, so lot of times people keep on doing something without, like you said, they forget why it was created, what was the purpose, and we have no mechanism going on. Now, with that, I move on to Dr. Bhutani. Dr. Bhutani, you are an inspiration yourself, a doctor by education, a bureaucrat by profession, the biggest crop insurer of the world by the delivery you're doing, and the kind of challenges you face. And I've seen it. Well, I've seen you, the kind of challenges you face, and still the kind of cool that you keep with yourself and the way you solve it. I think it is a learning for even professionals like us, because the challenges are very, very strong challenges. It's not a joke. We're talking of powerful people, ministers, no state governments. We're talking of people who have such high influence, and we're talking about convincing them, then working on the ground with farmers, finding what's beneficial for it, and then the whole conviction trying to make completely corruption-free, straight-through process for the benefit of the farmers at a very high degree, and using international expertise, getting all the reinsurers of the world together. In fact, I remember one of my reinsurers, head from Asia, he actually went to see the crop cutting exercise. No, you'll be surprised, Dr. Bhutani. He went on a tractor, on a tempo, and he saw the. In fact, he told me, "Tapan, I want to be with you next time when you go and see this." Like, the involvement of the entire world in trying to make this successful is something that you have done. But what drove you? What drives you, Dr. Bhutani? How do you remain so calm in spite of the adversities you face? Your belief, your conviction, and delivery. That story I want to hear. The personal story of yours, Dr. Bhutani.
See, it's nothing but what we have done is we have, I would say, drafted the guidelines in detail after due consultation. So we have the procedure which is already in place, and whenever there is I would say, a dispute or a conflict, we always go by the guidelines. The guidelines are there for us to take, I would say, umbrage from and ensure that we follow the procedure laid down. Sometimes what happens is, a lot of times you are confronted situations outside the guidelines, something which we never envisaged when we made the scheme. So those have been learning experience. Again, when we modify the guidelines, we ensure that those loopholes are plugged or those issues are also taken care of. And the basic, my mindset is, the farmer should not suffer. If some stakeholder has made a mistake, farmer should not suffer. We work with that principle, and we've been able, till date, to convince all the stakeholders, including the state governments or the insurance companies or banks, that if the farmer has the premium been debited from his account, somebody has to pay. Be it the insurance company, if the procedure has been followed, or the bank, or the state government, wherever there has been a lapse. So with that principle, it's been able to crack I would say, all the issues which have faced it late. And every day is a learning experience. The VCs we have with the stakeholders, I would say, Monday meeting we have with the insurance companies, lot of information flows into the system. We come to know a lot of issues, and that is the learning we have. We work on it back end, we discuss in house, and come with some solution or the other which is fair for all. We always ensure we are fair and transparent. That keeps us, and people don't point fingers, because we have been trying to be fair and transparent.
Well, Dr. But I think this is a conversation I can go on and for on, and such a lot of learning, but we have a time constraint. And for the two tigers of India, we have planted trees in your name, the Tiger Reserve, as a token of gratitude for your time. So I request, could you put up the certificate of tree planting done? This is for you, Dr. Bhutani. We have planted this trees in Panna Tiger Reserve. This is for you, Dr. Tyagi. We have planted this tree for you. It's such an honor to have been able to spend this time with both of you, and such a lot of learning. I think if people who are listening to this, who watch this as time progresses, there's so much learning. Listen to each sentence very carefully of these two gentlemen. Listen to their passion. Listen to the way they're making a difference. Listen to their commitment, and think, in our own selves, that are we doing something like this? Are we having this commitment? And then also look at the opportunities which I mentioned. Are we using the opportunities well? Do we have the desire to make India the superpower? The infrastructure is getting created, the backbone is getting created, the impact is coming. Can we have that dream that India becomes the superpower of the world, because of the kind of potential we have, the intelligence that we have, the entrepreneurial spirit that we have, and we have gentlemen like them who make such a huge investment. Just a thought I want to leave all of you with. And thank you, Dr. Bhutani, and thank you, Dr. Tyagi, for your time. Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
Tapanji. Thank you so much.